What's up, guys? This is PC, and this is your backstage pass to the green room. How can you be a game changer? A test score does not define you. It never has, and it never will. You literally have the opportunity to be a rock star each and every single day. Go be legendary. Love. You can argue that it's the most powerful word in the world today. Throughout history, love has led to unity, conflict, matrimony, war, happiness, depression, sheer joy, and broken hearts, just to name a few. And every single one of us, every single day, seeks to be loved. It's the foundation of what makes us tick and what inspires us to move forward and to make a positive impact with our lives. I'm fortunate to come from a family of educators. My grandma was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. My mom and my brother were both teachers as well. On my bride's side, 3 of her 4 grandparents were teachers. Her dad was a teacher, and of course, she's a teacher as well. So needless to say, I've heard my fair share of stories relating to education. I can remember as a young kid getting to visit my grandma's class and sit in on a lesson, and how cool it was to get to be surrounded by the teenagers in her classroom. We were visiting Disney World recently at Hollywood Studios, and we were watching a Star Wars documentary because my son is a die-hard Star Wars fan. As we sat there and we watched the video that chronicled the history of this legendary movie series, one of the things that a younger Star Wars employee said stuck with me. To paraphrase, he said that the cool thing about Star Wars is that throughout the history of its creation, from George Lucas to the newest, youngest employee in the company today, the one shared bond that they all have in common is their love for Star Wars. I'm totally biased, and I'll admit that up front, because they're all my family members, but I believe that all of them were or are great educators. And I don't base that on my personal opinion, but instead on the stories that I hear from their former students when I have the opportunity to speak with them. Every single one of them speaks with a glowing adoration about what it meant to be one of her kids or his kids. Those statements alone say it all right there. But that Star Wars documentary got me to thinking about education, and specifically what makes certain educators great. Because if you look at the world of education and the advancements we have made in pedagogy and technology and course offerings over time, it's easy to realize that we have so many more advantages in today's classroom than they did 50 or 60 years ago. The physical buildings that we get to work in today, they're light years ahead of those in the past. The training, networking, and the growth opportunities that we have based on social media alone provide so many advantages that teachers in the past weren't afforded. But there is one constant among all great teachers that hasn't changed, regardless of if you taught in the 1940s or if you still teach today. You see, if you think about your favorite teacher that you ever had, it had nothing to do with content or instructional strategies or their ability to use a smartboard. They were your favorite teacher because they made you feel special and appreciated. They made you feel like you belonged in their classroom. They hit you with that one constant that every great educator gets and understands. Let's take a listen.
Hi, my name is Paul Dahls. I've been an educator for 23 years.
My name is Norma Gullickson. I taught 29 years.
My name is Haley Brown. I am a 3rd grade teacher, and this is my first year.
Name is Keith Bell, senior, and been in education for 37 years.
My name is Nikki Miller, and I'm currently principal of Cape Henlopen High School. I have been in education going on 15 years.
My name is Erin Livingston. I've been a teacher for 20 years.
My name is Tim Slosher, and I've been in education for 24 years.
My name is Tara Campbell. I have been involved in education for 15 years.
My name is Steve Wolf, and I think I've been in education 32 years.
So my name is Julie Diaz. I've been in education for 32 years.
I'm Ross Jaquez Williams. I have been a teacher now for 8 years.
23 years ago, my beginning salary was $32,000. It was the most money I'd ever made in my life.
My beginning salary
It was somewhere around $16,000, $17,000.
It was around $32,000 to $33,000.
It was about $23,000.
It was $19,000, and in 4 years I moved it up because I coached football, basketball, and track, and did and weightlifting and taught to $27,000. So I was pretty excited when I got to be a principal and we started eating meat again in our family.
I thought $30,000 was a lot of money because I had always kind of waited tables and did that kind of thing. But either way, once I got to realize what some of my friends were making, a beginning salary of $30,000 was not that much.
So I know that they say teachers don't make any money, but actually coming from Iowa, I would have started at $12,500. So I really thought I was rolling in the dough at the $19,000 when I moved to Texas.
My beginning salary was $3 $30,000.
You know, it was never about the money for me, and so when I decided and I saw that first paycheck of $32,000, it was never a question, would I continue teaching? It was
More than just about the salary. I believe that, it's about the impact that you have on kids and obviously relating to them to help them be better versions of themselves.
The real passion for me wasn't money. That wasn't what drove me to get into education. What drove me to get into education was an opportunity to work with students and to work in an environment where I thought I could change things for the better.
Nothing I ever did was about the money, it was always about the passion. So nothing I've ever been doing was because of what I was gonna make. It was always kind of like how I was gonna feel based on my profession.
This is what we do. Why do we do this in education? This is what we do. Are there other ways to make more money? Absolutely. But can you make a difference? Can you change a life? Can you make a difference that's going to last on long after you're gone from this world? If you're, let's say, writing code that'll be out of date in 2 years, or maybe selling some insurance, that's nice. We need people to do that. We need people to make cars to sell cars. But if you really want to touch the future and change your life, make your life count, this is what we do.
So my favorite memory from teaching, I had a girl in my class named Lori, and she was rough.
favorite memory of teaching, it goes back 3 years. It was a really hard time in my life, and my mom had just passed away. She had battled Alzheimer's for 9 years, and I had been gone for a week, away from school, which is super weird because I never missed school.
I had to sit in her IEP meeting one time, and her father came to that meeting, and I walked away from that meeting with this bleeding heart for who this girl was. And all of a sudden, I just had a different appreciation for that kid, and I just thought, you know what, she's doing really well for herself, and now I understand. And so I changed my approach with Lori, and by the end of that semester, Lori and I were on great terms.
And I walked into my classroom, and my Renaissance kids had created a Post-it note heart on my board with messages from each of those kids.
Our students wanted to make a difference in our school. They said our school was drab. They didn't like the environment.
We've added a couple of our students to our lives as my own son and my own daughter. And when I see someone shift from having a need, not only being a student, but having a need for a mom and a dad, to allowing us to become that, that's pretty special.
In 10 hours, one day, painted the entire downstairs of our school. And it was every single student group was involved in that, every single grade level of student, all of the groups. They raised the money themselves. They went to Sherwin-Williams themselves. A senior math class figured out the square footage to paint, and it was student-led, student-driven, and it's a student success.
I had a young man by the name of Brandon DeRosier. Brandon was the first person in his family to ever graduate from public high school.
I made cupcakes for a 15-year-old boy for his birthday, and we celebrated in class. And after class, he told me that was the best birthday he had ever had.
His graduation picture, which he graduated in 2013, that is still his Facebook social media profile, is him standing in the middle of the class of 2013, smiling that he graduated from high school. So that's probably one of the best memories I've had.
The greatest lesson that a student has taught me so far is that sometimes I'm the best one that they have. I had a student that had a really rough home life, and there was an issue with food at home and things like that. And I was actually able to help them eat dinner at night, essentially. And so that was just it was a terrible situation, but it was awesome to see that I have such an impact and that I can help in just even small ways like that.
So I think what they taught me was that not only you need to work to be a good teacher, but you also need to work to be a good student. And you can learn as much as you give. You can learn as much, and you need to be open to that. And I think they taught me a lot throughout my entire career.
A student named Tavares had missed a take-home assessment that I had given to the students. I don't remember if it was like a long-term assignment. And he was not doing well in the class because he didn't turn in this one thing. So I had arranged for his grandmother for him to stay after school with me for a couple days to make up the work, but because he didn't have a ride home, myself and another teacher were going to take him home.
Kids today are going through so much more than what I did when I was their age. With social media and the technology that they're faced with and the distractions that they're faced with, it's nothing like it was when I was a kid.
And really long story short, I go up and family was sweet and welcoming, but in walking in the door, I realized why he hadn't done his work. There was no table to do an assignment. There was an air mattress in the kitchen floor, and there was mattresses and beds on the bedroom floor, and some families had been evicted and they were living with them. And it opened my eyes to, even though like I understood poverty, I didn't understand everybody's situation. And from that day on, like I understood like you have to be flexible as an educator, and we don't know what they're coming home to, but they expect us to help them. And so for me, that just made me realize that you have to be flexible.
But it's seeing them come every day and fight for what they want and what their dreams are, and to never let those dreams go.
I realized I don't have all the answers, and I needed to put the answer sheets away and just listen to the students. And there's always more than one way to figure things out.
So I think the secret to teaching is you just have to love your kids.
It's really important for me to make sure that my kids know that I love them and that they are cared for, and I want the absolute best for them, and so that they can be successful in all aspects of their lives.
So I hope my students know, and I think they do, because I tell them all the time that I love them and I value them, and I think they're really cool, unique people.
You know, there are people that need you. They need you every day. Come with your 100%, whatever that means. You're gonna have your good days. It's gonna get tough. Just understand that. Be you, be authentic, and lead from the heart.
It's a lesson I was taught when I went from being a teacher to a principal. One of my students wrote me a letter. This was before email, and wrote me a letter. And I thought, oh, isn't that nice? Well, 2 weeks later, I got another letter from this young lady. And she said, I noticed you didn't write me back. Did you really care? Or was it just your job? And that's when it hit me. It can't be just my job. I've got to truly love kids at a whole new level. And that moment changed me.
From the youngest to the oldest, every single one of those educators that you just heard from shared a common theme: love. They genuinely and completely love their kids. For me personally, my evolution as an educator didn't take place until I started to understand that concept. About 9 years into my teaching career, I had a class from you-know-where, to the point that I almost walked away from education entirely. As a last-ditch effort, I decided to try something drastic, and I started loving my kids. And then a funny thing happened. They started loving me back. And so if you truly want to be great, if you truly want to be legendary, if you truly want to leave a lasting legacy like the ones of the educators that you just heard from, it's simple. Learn to teach with love. Love wins every single time. Peace.